We are the Braxtons, and you'll see that we are not like an ordinary family. Tony, Tracy, Wanda, Trina, Tamar, and Miss Eve will teach you a thing or two on Braxton family values.
Hello, Home Slices. It's Kiera with Home Slice Adulting coming to you with a review for the mid-season premiere of Braxton Family Values, Season 6, Episode 17, titled A New Beginning. I hope you liked my version of the theme song that came on right before this. I hope you all enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed making it. Now, don't make fun of me. I am not a trained musician. I cannot read music. So I'm still trying to figure out melodies and harmonies and things along those lines, but I did my best, and until I get the hang of things, that's going to be my intro for every review. So you should probably get used to it. But anyways, before we dive into this episode, I want to say thank you for clicking on this video. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and to share this video with people who you think will enjoy it. Also, don't forget to follow me on Twitter and Instagram. The information is below in the description box. And sometimes I post funny videos or do super short reality TV shows that I don't have time to do long videos for. So be sure to check that out. My Instagram page is public, so regardless of whether you have an Instagram account or not, you should be able to still watch my videos. So let's jump right into what I hope is the final season of Braxton Family Values, okay? They're beating a dead horse. They're, squeezing blood from a turnip, okay? But moving on. Last time we saw Braxton Family Values, we're going to do a quick recap. There was a dispute about their work contracts. Everybody was against Tracy for continuing to film without the rest of the sisters. They talked to Iyanla, why can't that come out right? They got a big tearless apology out of Tamar. Even though I feel it was sincere, there was no tears, okay? And then behind the scenes in social media, Tamar goes off on Iyanla, and I don't know that we ever got the full story. Somebody brought up the fact that Tamar was sexually assaulted as a child, and I think that is what set Tamar off. So yeah, again, I don't know the full story. Moving on, so as of right now, in this part of the filming, Tamar is still going through a divorce. Tawanda is hiding her man like the mama on Muppet Babies. Muppet Babies. Trina is dating somebody. We met him, Bond. Tracy is releasing a new album. Always very happy for her, and she is a duchess now. Tony still hasn't married Birdman, and Mama Evelyn and Papa Braxton are still the same people they always have been. So first we see Tony and Tamar sit down for lunch. Apparently this filming is taking place about a month after the Iyanla interface, and Tony says that she's still kind of mad at her family, but the experience allowed her to purge. Apparently Tamar is in a Broadway play with Snoop Dogg. I knew nothing about it. Usually I kind of keep my ear to the ground a little bit about stuff like this. I hadn't heard anything about this play in particular. Tamar has not invited her family to the play and hasn't even really communicated with them, I guess, besides Tony, about what happened with Iyanla. Next, we see they cut to Mama Evelyn and Tawanda. Apparently, Mama Evelyn is coming out with a cookbook, and she has created the newest thing in Southern cuisine, a buffin, which is a cross between a biscuit and a muffin. I guess that's interesting. Muffins are like supposed to be sweet, and then biscuits are not. I'd be interested in trying one. Moving on, Tawanda asked about Iyanla and how Mama Evelyn felt about it. And Mama Evelyn, we all know that she is like stubborn as an ox, okay? And she doesn't like to be called on to the carpet for her, stuff. So we all kind of knew how she felt. But basically she said part of it was okay and part of it wasn't. And she basically states outright that she does not want to hear any criticism. And she sounds ornery to me, okay? But what can you expect from old people? Okay, so in my viewpoint, it's like, who else would be responsible for why the Braxton sisters can't find and keep good men, okay? Or why they can't get along with each other for more than a couple of episodes. It all falls into Mama Evelyn's lap, whether she wants to hear it or not, okay? So Mama Evelyn thinks that Iyanla picked on Tamar, but in my experience, the squeaky wheel gets the oil, and Tamar was squeaking that whole time. So that's why the attention was focused on her, okay? And we all know that Tamar monopolizes, other people's time. So, I mean, she got what she deserved, in my opinion. And she, was talking to somebody that wasn't going to back down from her. So Tawanda knows what's up, and and perhaps because Mama Evelyn and Tamar are so much alike, Mama Evelyn took it personally that she felt like Iyanla was picking on Tamar, but whatever. Mama Evelyn did feel good about Tamar's apology, particularly in relation to Tracy. So moving on, we see Tracy, Trina at Sister Circle. Now, I did not know that Trina was on Sister Circle. Apparently, she replaced one of the original stars on the show sometime last year, and I just was not aware of that. So I'm very happy for Trina. She has always been my favorite sister, and I find it interesting the way that daytime television has worked with two of the sisters, but we ain't gonna talk about that. So Trina seems very excited. I'm very happy for her. And Tracy Braxton is a guest on the show. And of course, the first question is about Iyanla, and that's the last thing that Tracy wants to talk about. But at this point, we cut back to Tamar and Tony, and I hate when they do that, when they switch back and forth between scenes, because it makes it hard to take notes and it makes it hard to review, but we're just going to do it in the order that they cut to the scenes. So Tony is trying to get Tamar to talk to her sisters and invite them to the play. Now, her sisters could just come out and support her too without an invitation and just, buy a ticket. So I kind of understand where Tamar is coming from, but considering their history of just letting stuff lie, somebody needs to take the first step. And personally, I think it would be best if Tamar did, just in my opinion. But anyways, Tony says that she's supposed to be getting married to Birdman before the year is out. And at that point, I didn't realize that this was at the end of 2018. I'm thinking that they were filming at the beginning of this year, which means they would have until the end of 2019. But no, Birdman wanted them to get married before the end of 2018. So anyways, she says they almost elope, and Tony claims that their schedules keep getting in the way, and I'm calling BS. I mean, getting married to somebody is so serious and such a big part of someone's life, and I don't know that there's any schedule that can come in the way of you really marrying the person that you love. I think that there was something else going on emotionally, and we all know that they're not together now. So, of course, something else was going on. I think the schedule thing was an excuse. But moving on, they interview, we go back to Sister Circle. We cut back to Sister Circle where, the hosts of Sister Circle are interviewing Tracy. And she says, in relation to Iyanla, that when it comes to her and Trina, they've learned to discuss issues without letting them bubble up and boil over or not deal with them at all. And, a lot of people see conflict or confrontation as things that have a negative connotation, things to avoid. But there is a right way to do conflict. There is a right way to do confrontation, because basically conflict means that two people don't see eye to eye, and that happens every day. It's the way that you handle that conflict, it's the way that you handle that confrontation that can lead to it being a negative or positive thing. And it's better for you to say it in that moment. It's better for you to say it sooner rather than later, because when you harness stuff in your heart, it comes out in other ways. And that's what it means to be passive aggressive, for you to harness these feelings in your heart. And because you haven't spoken on it, and because you haven't gotten it out of your system or addressed it, it manifests in other actions that shows that you are not, on 100% accord with that person. So I totally understand that, and I'm glad that that's something that they took away from Iyanla. And I also think that something that Tracy didn't mention, but from my viewpoint, I enjoyed the way Iyanla checked Tracy's sisters on being so upset about Tracy doing something on her own for once. But she got them together when she was like, okay, Tony's over here doing movies and concerts. Tamar's over here doing plays and concerts, outside of Braxton Family Values, the reality show. Why can't Tracy do something on her own? And all Trina could say was touche. You can't get mad at your sister. So that's the thing that I think that Iyanla did for Tracy was stand up for her in that moment. And it was interesting that she didn't mention that, but whatever. Moving on. It's funny because Trina didn't want them to go really deep into or dive deep into the Iyanla thing because she felt like it was like too personal. And it's like, okay, you're on a reality show. I don't know how much more personal we can get. We have heard about you getting a DUI. We've heard about you providing oral transactions to somebody that wasn't your husband. We know a lot. We've seen her boobs. They covered it up. They blurred it out. But, Trina, I don't know why you're getting so private all of a sudden, okay? You're usually an open book. But whatever. Next we cut back to Tawanda and Mama Evelyn, again cutting back and forth, and Mama Evelyn says that she hasn't spoken to any of the girls about Iyanla, and Tawanda says that this is the same issue playing over and over again. We allow things to happen and then we don't speak on them, and then things go wrong. And Mama Evelyn, is again absolving herself of responsibility and claims, I can't make people do anything. I can't put a gun to your head and make you talk about something, and it seems like nobody wants to talk about it. I'm under the impression that Mama Evelyn doesn't want to talk about it because I don't see her daughters telling her, I don't want to talk about it, personally. So there was a really sweet part. Mama Evelyn teased Tawanda about her boo, and Tawanda blushes so much that she has to leave the table. I thought that was a really sweet moment. It's rare, I feel, that we see Mama Evelyn in this kind of fun and silly mindset, and that was really sweet to see her and Tawanda interact like that. But moving on, we cut back to Tracy and Trina after Sister Circle is done taping. Trina was afraid that her co-hosts were going to prod into the Iyanla thing, and she was happy that they didn't. Apparently nobody has talked to Tamar, but neither Tracy nor Trina seem willing to make the first call. It's like, okay now y'all, this is getting ridiculous. Everybody on this show is over 40. All the sisters are over 40. And I don't understand how Tracy and Trina can seem to have overcome stuff without influencing their sisters to do the same or doing it themselves. All you got to do is make a phone call. Y'all know each other's phone numbers. And why do you just assume that Tamar needs time? Maybe Tamar is waiting for you to call. Just call. Somebody call. Somebody be the bigger person, okay? Anyways, I just don't understand that. For them to come off as being so close, they have this weird distance between each other, and I just don't get it. And their reaction is just to give each other more distance instead of leaning into it and addressing issues. They're very conflict avoidant. And then when conflict actually does happen, it has a negative reaction. So anyways, next we see Tony and Tawanda at the flower shop. Apparently Tony buys flowers for her house every month or every week. And it's like, okay, you fancy, huh? I can't afford that for something to keep dying in my house every week. But anyways... they talk about Tamar's boo and going to Tamar's play. And apparently Tony is going back on tour. I think that tour just finished with Tony and SWV. Moving on, we see Tamar. Tamar reaches out to Tawanda and asks Tawanda to reach out to the other sisters. Now, I have a problem with this personally. The same, issue that Trina and Tracy had. Why didn't she call us herself? Now, Tamar, I think from Tamar's point of view, she said she was meeting her sisters halfway. I don't consider that meeting them halfway. She was meeting them like a quarter of the way by sending a messenger to invite them. Getting a secondhand invitation from a person that you share a womb with doesn't seem appropriate. As your sister, I should at least be able to get a text message from you saying, hey, my play is coming. Tony's going to be there. I want all the sisters to get together since we haven't seen each other in a while, right? So if you were going to be the bigger person, you should have been the bigger person all the way and invited all of your sisters yourself. And why does Tawanda volunteer to be everybody's personal assistant? I don't get that. I just did a video yesterday about learning how to be a better self-advocate for myself. And one of the things that I didn't mention in that video is that you have to teach people how to treat you. And Tawanda allows her sisters to treat her as this go-between. And I don't know if she enjoys it or if she was just so used to being Tony's personal assistant that this is a role that she just kind of took on. But it's like, Tawanda, it's not your responsibility to extend that invitation. It's on Tamar, because Tamar needs to mend her relationship with the other sisters, especially since y'all seem to be okay. Just FYI. But anyways, we see Tamar spending time with her friend named LaTroy. And Tamar is surprised that her divorce is going so well, but she equates divorces that go well with white people. Apparently white people are the only people who can have non-nasty divorces. I don't know. Sometimes we say ignorant things. But moving on, I will say that she opens up and shows this vulnerable side that I don't know that I've ever seen from her, because I think people feel that vulnerability is like getting into your deepest emotions and crying, because we definitely have seen Tamar on the opposite ends of emotion. We've seen her in very angry confrontational moments. We've seen her very sad and low moments where she's, crying and upset. She's never really even keel. But the point I'm trying to make is the type of vulnerability that she had with her friend in this particular scene, to me, was the most open and vulnerable that I have ever seen her, because she wasn't loud. She wasn't doing the .com.org, have several seats, none of that. She was just talking plainly, talking about her divorce, talking about her feelings. And some of the things that she said struck me, and I was like, maybe Tamar is growing. First off, she mentioned how judgmental she was of her sisters who continued to deal with their ex-husbands. And that was something that I thought was a great self-realization, and something that she should express to her sisters and apologize to them for being so nasty and judgmental to them when they were going through their number of divorces. Okay. So that's number one. She talked about missing Vince, but understanding that they have to live two separate lives, and the only thing that brings them together is their son, Logan. And it just seemed like she was kind of like growing up, which, it's kind of sad to say at the age that she's at, but at least she got there. Better late than never is what they say, according to Candy's daughter. But but the point is, I saw a side of Tamar that I wish we saw more often, and that I wish she would show to her sisters, because I think she's so used to being extra that people don't really take her seriously. And in this moment, I took her feelings and her thoughts seriously. Now, back to silly Tamar. Apparently, she's dating a chocolate Nigerian now, and that's weird. Tamar doesn't really seem to have a type. Rich Negroes are the only thing that she likes. I don't know if he's rich, but I can't imagine her being with somebody that's broke. So just saying. I am not an advocate of people moving on too quickly after they divorce or while they are divorced. I feel like there are a lot of unresolved feelings and unresolved issues that people go through that makes it impossible to fully immerse yourself in a new relationship before the old one is over with. Because when people are going through a divorce, it can be a totally different thing once the divorce is actually final. So you go through all these emotions while you're going through a divorce, the divorce becomes final, and then reality check. This person that you have been with for, according to Tamar, for 16 years is officially no longer your husband. Everything you knew about your life is now changed and is now different. All the while, you're going through these emotional changes, and you have somebody else that's involved in that. I don't know that you can fully give yourself to somebody when, the door of your previous relationship is still partially open. So I think that they are moving too fast, for me. But who knows? Maybe Tamar is in an emotional space where she can fully give herself to this person and fully evaluate you know, that relationship without it being a rebound situation. Maybe. I don't know. She's growing, you know, and she, of course, knows herself better than I do, but whatever. Next we see Tawanda and Tracy. Tracy complains about being the personal assistant to all the sisters, but does it anyway. Again, you teach people how to treat you, and next time you tell Tamar, she got to tell the sisters herself. Okay. Moving on. They called Trina. Tawanda and Tracy are at a park, and they call Trina, and Tawanda gives them the invite. And just like I thought, Tracy and Trina had a problem with not being asked by Tamar directly, but Tracy says she's gonna let it slide because Tamar is family, and you know, you got to pick your battles. So at the end of the day, I think in the spirit of them getting their sisterhood back together, Tracy and Trina decided to come along to try to, you know, rebuild those bridges, okay? And, you know, not getting caught up on the fact that she wasn't invited specifically by Tamar. So we see Tamar on iHeartRadio. Apparently Tamar is playing an angel in this play with Snoop Dogg, which is really interesting. It's funny because when you think about great actors and actresses, one of the things that you associate with a good actress is versatility. And there is a certain amount of disdain that we have for actors who always play the same character in every movie. And I'm trying to figure out if Tamar can be anybody but her regular self in a play. So did she put her own personality into that character, or did she really take on a different character? I doubt she took on a different character. I didn't see the play, but that's just my guess. Moving on. Tamar's on iHeartRadio talking about the play and other stuff, and she's giving relationship advice again, which is weird because she's going through a divorce and she already has a new boyfriend. But she mentions that she doesn't necessarily feel 100% qualified because she's still figuring out the relationship stuff herself. But I will say that she was right about setting boundaries in relationships. And it was sweet to see her try to comfort the young lady who's going through a tough time. And I wish I could see more of that side of Tamar with her sisters. But next we see Tamar, Trina, and Tawanda. They are getting flowers for Tamar. No, not Tamar, Trina, and Tawanda. I'm sorry, Mama Evelyn, Trina, and Tawanda. And so they're getting flowers for Tamar, and they talk about Toni Braxton getting married to Birdman. Apparently, Toni went on the Wendy Williams show in late 2018 and said that Birdman was demanding that they get married before the end of the year. Now, they talk about Trina, and she and her old boo Vaughn have been talking about marriage. And then Tawanda said that she would say yes to a proposal from her boo if he gave her one. But she doesn't want to explain this ring on her hand. And Trina quickly summed up the reason why I don't really care for Tawanda. She is always in everybody else's business, but is unwilling to divulge her own. So I don't really care for that. Moving on, it's time to see Tamar's play. Everybody is kind of apprehensive because this is the first time that they are all getting together since Iyanla, and we all know that blew up. But they exchange these pleasant kisses and say long time no see, and they meet Snoop and they take pictures. And apparently Toni has to leave because something is happening. She claims that there was some type of an emergency. So next thing we know, Toni is leaving the building and getting into a car with butterfly doors, and that's it. That is all for this episode. Now, not a whole bunch has happened, but just for the sake of watching the show, and I really like the sisters, but I really hope that this is the last season. For the past couple seasons, we know that they haven't really been giving us anything new, so I hope that we can put a pin in this at the end of this season, just personally. So thank you all for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and to share this video. Peace out, home slices.